Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rono. Senator Cornyn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a lot we could talk about, but Mr. Olson, I want to talk about Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. There are stories that are on social media, and I actually hear members of Congress suggesting that under Section 702, that the U.S. government can spy on innocent Americans by listening to their phone calls and reading their emails. Is that true or false?
That's fundamentally false. That is not what 702 does.
Yeah, 702 is a foreign intelligence surveillance act. That's why the F is in foreign, means that it targets foreigners overseas, not in the United States, who are suspected or believed to be a threat to the United States national security, correct?
Correct.
So here's where people, I think, get a little confused. If they are actually communicating with an American or a U.S. person, it's called, right? It could be a legal permanent resident. Then there is, that information is collected as part of 702, the contact between the foreign target and the U.S. person, right?
Correct, that's right.
And that goes into a database that then can be queried by the FBI or the intelligence community in the future.
Correct, under rules.
So it's a little weird because I think some people say, well, you shouldn't be able to get incidental collection on the U.S. person. But I was thinking that, you know, if you go to court and get a warrant or a wiretap, you don't know who the person you've wiretapped under the authority of the court is actually going to be talking to, do you?
It's exactly the same in the criminal as in the foreign intelligence context. Exactly right.
And so if you want to find out more about that U.S. person, don't you have to go to court and get a warrant from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court?
Exactly. If the government is going to target the U.S. person or somebody in the United States, then the government must go to the FISA court, establish probable cause, and get an order from the court in order to conduct the surveillance of the person in the United States.
And there is this this database of lawfully collected 702 information that can then be queried or tasked for further information. And there's been some suggestion that this lawfully collected 702 information, that you would need an additional search warrant in order to look at what you've already lawfully collected. Does that make sense to you?
It does not, and I suppose more importantly, it doesn't make sense to the entire leadership of the intelligence community, which has come out unanimously opposed to any sort of a warrant requirement to simply query the data that's been lawfully collected, both because it's not required by the Constitution, but more importantly because it would be devastating to the value of this indispensable collection.
It seems kind of odd to say information that's been lawfully collected. If you want to actually use that information, you have to go back and ask permission for something that's already been lawfully collected. So, like I said, there's just a lot of myths and conspiracy theories and incorrect narratives, which is the reason why I appreciate the opportunity to be able to get you to clarify some of this for us. I think basically the misconception is, while the Constitution clearly applies to American citizens, that's why you have to go to court and show probable cause, that it does not, the Constitution does not protect foreign targets information, does it?
It does not. The Fourth Amendment does not apply to protect non-U.S. persons who are overseas.
What would happen if Section 702 expired at the end of this year without reauthorization?
I think it would, again, as the intelligence community, the Attorney General, the Director of National Intelligence have all made clear, it would be devastating to our national security. So I do welcome the opportunity here this morning to speak to you more about this.
Well, I've called it the most important law that most Americans have never heard of before. And as I said, there just seems to be a lot of confusion And so I appreciate the opportunity to ask you a few questions and hopefully provide some clarity. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Cornyn. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Argentieri, am I saying that right?
You are.
Thank you very much. I want to talk a little bit about sexual abuse in the workplace. And recently,